DeWanna Bonner is an absolute legend. And this is one of the lowest of the low things that I've seen in sports.
DeWanna Bonner is now DeWanna Goner. After a 5-game absence for personal reasons, it's now official. DeWanna is out of Indy. And Fever fans, who were incredibly supportive during her unexplained absence, aren't just disappointed, they feel betrayed. And it's not just because DeWanna was supposed to be the veteran leader guiding Caitlin Clark and helping the Fever make a real championship push. It's not even about the hype that came with her signing. It's why she reportedly wanted out. That's what's leaving a horrible taste in fans' mouths. In a season full of wild ups and downs, the Fever are once again in a tough spot. But here's the twist. This is a blessing. And recent developments prove it. Let's break it down. But first, give this a quick like if you kinda knew DeWanna was as good as gone, and hit subscribe for more WNBA updates.
When DeWanna signed with the team, she said at this point in her career she's playing for championships and obviously have championship experience with those veterans they brought in. How much does that get to add to the culture or just what it takes to win at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, DB has been tremendous. Like, she's such a selfless leader. Like, she's here to win. She says that, but she really means it.
In an offseason filled with optimism for the Fever, DeWanna Bonner was seen as a cornerstone of a potential championship run. She had the pedigree. Multiple all-star selections, championships, and even at 37, she was still putting up solid numbers. But more than her stat line, it was her leadership that mattered most. Last season, the Fever, led by Caitlin Clark, surged into the playoffs and became one of the hottest teams in the WNBA. But they were swept in 2 games by the Connecticut Sun. And after that loss, even Caitlin admitted it. The team lacked playoff experience and veteran presence. That's what DeWanna was brought in to fix. And at first, she seemed like the perfect fit, saying all the right things, embracing the team-first mentality, and playing the role of steady veteran.
And also joining a team that's just impressive. I think everybody's seen the second half of their season, and it was an unbelievable season. And I just felt like they had a dynamic core, and I just wanted to be another puzzle piece into what they had. And hopefully I can give my knowledge, my leadership, and give it to these young players, so when I retire they can pass it along. So I feel like they're young, but I also feel like they're a great young. They don't need too much coaching and too much leadership. They kind of figure it out themselves, and I'm just hoping that I can add to it and make basketball a little easier for them, and as well they can make it a little easier for me.
She got a hero's welcome. Fever fans instantly fell in love with her, bought her jerseys, flooded her with support, and embraced her like never before in her career. She, like all the free agents added in the offseason, seemed thrilled to be in Indy, feeding off the energy of playing on a championship contender in the hottest basketball market in the world. At least that's how it looked.
I guess to that point, how does this kind of compare to what you are used to?
Oh man, yeah, totally different atmosphere. The support here has been just phenomenal. I really can't go anywhere. I've been here like a week and a half, and everywhere I go, it's just like, we're excited for the season. Thank you for being here. So it's been really, really refreshing. And
you get that on the streets?
I'm sorry?
You get that on the streets?
Yeah, everywhere I go, it's just can't even go to the grocery store without someone saying how excited they are. So it's just been really refreshing. I'm excited to be here.
And Caitlin, who, despite all her accomplishments and poise, is still just 23 and learning on the fly, was genuinely excited to have her on the team. As you heard her say in the clip earlier, she saw DeWanna as a selfless leader who would do whatever it took to chase a championship.
You sure about that?
While DeWanna started on a high note, moving up to 3rd on the all-time scoring list in the Fever's dominant demolition of the Sky, the wheels started falling off almost immediately. She struggled out of the gate, averaging just 7 points per game, less than half of the 15 she put up last season. And while that poor start was partly on her, it also aligned with what fans and analysts were already starting to question. Did the front office bring in the right pieces to complement Caitlin Clark? And did Stephanie White actually have a plan to make this roster work?
I don't know what Stephanie White's doing exactly. I don't have a clue. Again, I don't know what the identity of this team is. I really don't. It seems like they play a different way every game. One could say, well, that's her game plan. She's game planning for each team. How's that working out for you?
Whatever the cause of the slump, after just 9 games, DeWanna was suddenly out of the lineup for personal reasons. And it happened to be the same game Caitlin Clark returned from injury against the Liberty. Now, just before that, Stephanie White had also missed time for personal reasons, So fans naturally responded with concern, assuming it might be something serious or family-related. But as DeWanna continued to miss game after game, with no explanation, no injury designation, and no clear timeline for return, that concern quickly turned into confusion.
How is she doing? Is there any timeline for her return?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing well. Again, no timeline. I think it's day to day, and for us to just make sure that we're continuing to be supportive of DB.
And then, the rumor mill kicked into overdrive. Fans reported DeWanna had deleted Fever-related posts from her social media. There were whispers about the team store not fulfilling her jersey orders. Even her banner was allegedly taken down from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Now, whether or not all of that is accurate almost doesn't matter, because the silence from the team only fueled speculation, and fans started doing what fans do, looking for clues, connecting dots, and deep down, preparing for the worst. Turns out, they were spot on.
Multiple league insiders are reporting to Annie Costabile, of course Annie Costabile is breaking this news, of Front Office Sports that DeWanna Bonner has quote-unquote no interest in returning to the Indiana Fever, instead wanting to be in landing spots with either the Phoenix Mercury or the Atlanta Dream.
This wasn't just online gossip anymore. Multiple reputable outlets were now reporting it. DeWanna Bonner was as good as gone. Naturally, all eyes turned to head coach Stephanie White. Surely now, with the news out there, we'd get some clarity, some transparency about the situation. But when she was asked about it, crickets.
Obviously, there were reports today that DB doesn't intend to return to the team. Just what conversations have you had with her and with the front office about that?
I've had a lot of conversations recently. Really been focused on the group that we have right here and what we need to do to position ourselves to win.
And DeWanna's agent wasn't commenting either, which, let's be honest, spoke volumes. If the reports were false, it'd be easy to shut them down. A quick denial, a tweet, a statement. But the silence? That's not just a no comment, that's practically confirmation.
No comment is a comment. No explanation is an explanation. If we were trying to get back, we would have said, oh, we're trying to get back, we're trying to work some things out behind the scenes so both parties are satisfied moving forward. We don't even get that.
And remember how we all talked about DeWanna being that selfless veteran leader, someone who just wanted to win a championship and do whatever it took to contribute? Well, if these reports are accurate, that mindset disappeared the moment she was moved to the bench. Apparently, she wasn't cool with a reduced role, and instead of mentoring the young core or helping Caitlin navigate the early season pressure, she checked out.
It says here, multiple sources told Front Office Sports the fit in Indiana was off in the beginning. Bonner, who was signed to be an anchor to win with championship experience for the team's young core, was expected to be a starter. So basically, she stunk it up, got benched for Lexi, and was pissed. But it is what it is.
Now I'm going to get into why this might actually be a blessing in disguise in just a moment. But right now, this really stings for Fever fans. They rolled out the red carpet. They embraced DeWanna as a leader, a culture setter, someone who was supposed to guide this young core to a championship. And during her absence, fans didn't just move on. They were genuinely concerned for her well-being. Now, to hear she may have walked away just because she didn't like coming off the bench, fans feel blindsided. And worse, betrayed.
She's on our team. We want to support her. Let's just give her some grace. And now we get some clarity on that situation. Now we get some understanding of that situation. And all of that grace can get thrown right out the window.
You have people fearing the worst for her family. You have people fearing the worst for everything. You have people saying that they hope everything's good with DeWanna Bonner. It turns out she apparently is just pissed off that she wasn't a starter.
And then there's this. DeWanna isn't exactly known for being super active on social media. But during the Fever's game against the Storm, right after the news broke, while she was still on the roster, still being paid by the team, and still officially out for personal reasons, she decided that was the moment to make an Instagram post. Not about the game, not about the team, just for fun.
She posted it during the game at like 11 p.m. At like 11 p.m.
Again, an Instagram post by itself isn't a big deal, but when you rarely post at all, and then you suddenly decide to drop one late at night, while your team is mid-game, while you're on a mysterious absence, and after fans have been wondering if you're okay, it just lands wrong. And whether that was the intention or not, it left a bad taste in fans' mouths. And speaking of bad feelings, that leads us to the next piece of the report. Sources say the situation in Indy just felt off from the start. Now yes, her play was definitely off. She was averaging less than half her usual points per game. But this suggests this wasn't just a basketball problem. The chemistry wasn't there. And some have speculated her partner, Alyssa Thomas, may have influenced her decision.
You guys remember what Alyssa Thomas said about the Indiana Fever fan base last year? And all the things that she heard coming from this fan base last year? That's off. You guys remember what Alyssa Thomas said about the Angel Reese Chicago Sky sham investigation, right? Oh, if Angel says she heard it, then we believe that she heard it. That's off, right? Right.
Before I show you the light at the end of this tunnel, drop a basketball in the comments if you think DeWanna wanted out for basketball reasons, or drop a P if you think it was personal. Now the Fever have real decisions to make. Assuming they've known about this for a while and just kept it under wraps, you'd hope they would have started planning. But even then, it's tough to move an expensive asset making $200,000 that is underperforming and everyone knows wants out. There's no leverage or demand. And they had to move fast for a few reasons. She's not contributing, she's a distraction, and if they waited too long, her salary would have become guaranteed. They had two options, trade her for peanuts or waive her to clear cap space. The latter sounds like a waste, but at this point it was addition by subtraction.
She got benched, she couldn't handle it, I want out. She's not playing well, she's getting criticized, I want out. Her significant others call this fan base racist. On 2 occasions now, I want out.
And here's the truth. If you don't want to be there, you've got to go. Because the longer she stayed on the roster, the more that uncertainty would hang over the Fever like a storm cloud. And the Fever brass apparently felt the same way, because they waived her within 24 hours. But that solves only part of the problem, because the void she left is bigger than just her. The Fever are about to lose another player.
This opens up a lot for the Indiana Fever, as well as them having to scramble for what they're going to do next. Because, as I'm sure many of you know, Demiris Dantas, who is she is part of the front court of the Indiana Fever. She will be gone from the team after tonight's game against the Seattle Storm.
The Fever have made moves, but there's still a lot to sort out. We're only a third of the way through the season. The team is hanging in there, but it's already been a heavy year. We had the hate speech investigation that went nowhere. Caitlin missed 5 games, and while her return against the Liberty felt like a turning point, the very next game against the Sun saw her knocked down again. With no real consequences beyond a couple of upgraded fouls after the fact, and Sophie Cunningham delivering the only real payback on the court. All of it, with the spotlight constantly on her, has to be weighing on Caitlin, and we've got to bring it back to her. Because this team, and honestly this league, revolves around her. And right now, she's still fighting.
Nonetheless, Caitlin Clark continues to struggle. One of the worst games of her career, if not the worst game of her career against the Storm. I don't even think she had the playmaking prowess that she had in the first half against the Aces or the Valkyries. Still wound up with 9 assists, 8 turnovers though, 0 of 6 from 3.
She just had another tough game against the Storm. And one thing I've noticed, just from scrolling X this past week, is that fans are starting to point it out. Caitlin just seems down, like the joy is gone.
I think for the challenge for myself going forward is just, continue to pour into every other aspect of the game, and I can continue to have an impact in, all those other areas. I thought I got to the rim well. It's just, certainly a tough shooting night, and, I got to find a way to continue to shoot and remain confident in myself, because I know I put the time in. But for me, I don't feel like it's anything that's off necessarily. But yeah, it'd be nice to play with that.
Of course, losing and playing poorly will affect your mood at a press conference, but you've got to wonder if the DeWanna situation, the Connecticut game, and everything else Caitlin's dealing with is starting to wear on her. I mean, with DeWanna, this was someone Caitlin looked up to. She was genuinely excited to play with her. Back in training camp, she even said she wanted to win a ring for her. And now she's not just disappointed in how it ended, but probably also in the message it sends to the rest of the team.
DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
Now, I promised a silver lining, and here it is. DeWanna didn't want to be with the Fever. To get to that point, there had to be friction behind the scenes, something everyone in the room likely felt. So, as disappointing as it is, moving on lifts a cloud. And let's be honest, she was making $200,000 to put up 7 points a game and didn't look like her old self. That's a huge chunk of cap space tied to low production. Now, that money can go toward players who better fit the system. Let's be real, they were never going to trade or waive her otherwise, just like we're seeing with Bree Turner. So in the end, this is a net positive. Then there's the pace issue. Fans and analysts have been saying it all season. The team plays too slow. Maybe now, with that roster spot open, they bring in some younger legs. And that's why fans were pumped to learn that the team had quickly brought back Arie McDonald. She injected much-needed energy, so that's an instant upgrade. And they've still got the leadership. Between Natasha Howard and Sydney Colson, that box is still checked. There's still veteran presence and championship experience in the locker room. But there's still work left to do. The Fever have lost size, and it'll be interesting to see who they bring in. But whatever happens, it's better than hanging on to someone who doesn't want to be there. If you're still here, drop a basketball in the comments to let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.